hearts race, and the crowd goes wild. All across the nation, the Dirt Track Warriors duke it out for what matters the most: the trophy and the glory. This is Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises.
Coming to you direct from the studios here at R&R Enterprises, it's time for Gas and Glory, the place where we talk about what matters the most, the trophy and the glory. My name is Kyle Luters, joined alongside my good friend and colleague, Neil Quick. And Neil, what's going on today, buddy? You're looking pretty good today. You're looking really good. You got just such a youthful complexion about you today.
Now you're lying.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to make it sound good for everybody out there listening. That's not necessarily the truth.
What's got you blue there, buddy?
No, nothing blue. Just
what about red?
How about green?
Green? No, that means you're sick. Green means sick. Red means you've got anger and passion.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't know your little mood ring colors here?
No, I haven't. I don't even know what a mood ring is.
I'm telling you, if you get hit upside the head enough by former girlfriends with a mood ring, you learn what all those colors mean.
It's been a long time since I've had a girlfriend, Kyle.
Now it's just the wedding ring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're off the shenanigans a little bit here to talk some racing, and what an amazing slate of headlines we have to talk about. We first talk Donnie Schatz winning at Grand Forks, River City Speedway, one of the most exciting racetracks anywhere in the country. He picks up his 153rd World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series victory there. That ties him for third place all time with Mark Kinzer, who, by the way, is a new Sprint Car Hall of Fame inductee. And I think with this one, Schatz now has definitely punched his ticket to end up in the exact same place that Mark Kinzer is now. It just adds another chapter to the storybook career of Donnie Schatz.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go in that career still. Donnie's got plenty more wins to add to it. I know he's got a long way to go to catch old Sammy and Steve there. I'm looking at these numbers that are in front of me. And Sammy's got 293 and Steve's got 577. So Donnie's got some more wins to gather.
You know, I don't think he would object if he hit 300. I really don't.
No, I think that would be pretty cool for him. But that's still a haul from where he's at right now at 153.
You know, you talk about the National Open titles. He has a Gold Cup Race of Champions title, the 7 and counting Knoxville National titles. He's got multiple World of Outlaws titles. He is in the discussion as one of the greatest sprint car drivers ever.
Absolutely. I mean, and especially in modern times where the competition, I think, is a little bit stiffer than what it was in the past, but that's always debatable.
You have more of an even playing field now.
Yes.
Than possibly the 70s and the 80s, with the way the rule packages are and the way the tires are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, and I know it's probably something that we could debate back and forth, but definitely.
It's not good when we get into arguments, folks. If you haven't been listening to the show yet, it's not good when Neil and I argue, which we'll have some of that coming up later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of Donnie Schatz, he is your World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series points leader by 27 over Darren Pittman. And Neil was saying a little bit earlier, what were you saying? Is it's over?
It's over. Go home. No, I was joking. No, it's
long season yet.
Long season. 27 points isn't anything, and the way it's been this season, going back and forth, and the momentum carrying between these guys, we could be reading this in 2 weeks, and Darren Pittman could be 27 up on the top side.
Or you could see Paul McMahon, who's sitting in the third spot, 63 markers back. He could leapfrog back up to the front. He's led. Joey Saldana, now 65 back in the fourth spot. He's led the points for quite a bit this season. Kerry Madsen is 206 markers back. Not quite out of it, but this is really shaping up to be, as we get into the big-time races, the month of money, the Knoxville Nationals, and then the remainder of the season. This is really shaping up to be a 4-horse race for this title.
Yeah, it's been that way basically, I'd say after about the first 4 weeks, you kind of started to see that happening, and going to make it a heck of a show all the way down to the wire here.
You know, you're absolutely right there, Neil. And moving right along, Craig Delansky grabbed his third Knoxville win of the season. Congratulations to him. And our good friend Rico Abreu wins at Calistoga this past weekend for his 11th winged sprint car victory of the season. And did you see the victory lane photo? All the guys he had in there with him?
Yeah.
It's Kyle Larson and Jeff Gordon were there, man.
Yeah, just a few. I mean, nobody knows them.
Yeah, just a little star power in that picture.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Little bit.
A little bit. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series was in wine country out at Sonoma this past weekend, where we also have to talk about Kyle Larson. He won the K&N West Series race at Sonoma the day before the Cup race. And then the following day, he finished 28th, which doesn't sound phenomenal, but it is that much more impressive when you find out he lost the power steering and the brakes in that number 42 machine.
That would have been a trip.
I'm telling you. You know, we complained a little bit about when the power steering pump goes out in our street car. Can you imagine having to wrestle a heavy NASCAR Sprint Cup Series car around a winding road course, up, down, left, and right, without no power steering and no power brakes?
Well, and you've heard some of the old timers that used to run those cars talk about it, that back in the day when they didn't have power steering, it wasn't as tough to wrestle them around as when they do have power steering and it goes out. It seems like it's
you still have the mechanism, it's just not working, so you're still fighting.
Yeah, it seems like more of a trip, but especially of all things to run into an issue with power steering on a road course.
That makes for a long day at the office. We know a thing about that or two, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And
for you, it's that fist pump on the phone, isn't it? That arm pump.
Yeah, arm pump picking up the phone. Yeah.
You know, his fingers lock up a little bit from typing all those emails every day. So,
contrary to criticism,
you can stop glaring at me now. I was just trying to make a joke.
Yeah, contrary to criticism, where I hear a tape gun in your office all day long.
Hey, baby, that tape gun, that's music to people's ears.
No.
Christopher Bell won the ASCS Speed Week finale at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, and he also won at Creek County Speedway 2 nights before, so a couple of victories on the ASCS Speed Week for Christopher Bell. Great job by him as well.
Absolutely. Christopher Bell continues to carry momentum and put wins up there, and I was just thinking about that as we were talking about Rico. I mean, he had that short little vacation, and he's come back, and he's on fire again.
Rico and Christopher, both two of the brightest and most talented young drivers in the open wheel ranks, I would even argue anywhere in racing today. And I think it's only a matter of time before you see them graduate to the NASCAR ranks like Kyle Larson has.
Well, going back to our interview with Rico and in discussions with him, and it's kind of cool to hear him talk about wanting to do the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500 both. And same thing with Christopher. Really excited and like to see what direction in the future he goes for.
And speaking of young drivers, we have a just awesome interview coming up with Jamie Ball. He picked up his very first Knoxville 360 win this past weekend. Got the chance to catch up with him a little bit earlier. We're going to play that for you here in just a little bit. But, you know, before we go to that interview, and by the way, we want to congratulate all of the Team R&R drivers on an awesome weekend. And these are just a few of the folks that we get the great opportunity to work with. So congratulations to those guys and everybody out there that's in the Team R&R banner. But one of my favorite times of the year is when we get into the Ohio Sprint Speed Week and the Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week. And we kicked off Ohio. There's been a couple of rainouts, but so far we've seen some great shows. Eldora, you name it, over in Ohio, and then we're going to go right into Pennsylvania Speed Week, and that's really the precursor to some of the bigger money shows and the more prestigious shows. We get the Brad Doty Classic, Kings Royal, stuff like that coming up. So these Speed Weeks, man, they're awesome.
Yeah, I seen actually going down the highway the other day, I see on 55 they got a big sign up promoting the Ironman, which is a 2-day show at Peevely this year, and that's kind of a prelude right before they go to Knoxville for the Nationals, and really interesting. Got some good racing coming up.
You've got 2 nights at Peevely,
Mm-hmm.
okay? The second night being the 55-lapper, the most grueling event all season long for the World of Outlaws. I mean, because let's face it, it's hot and humid here in August.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it, especially down by the river.
Yeah, this St. Louis area, it's like
sticky.
Yeah, you make it 100 degrees, and then you take and pour all the water on top of it, all the humidity, man. It's you walk outside and you're drenched.
Well, you have that going on. You got 55 laps there, and then pretty much all of the teams will book it 5 hours overnight to run the Capitani Classic Sunday night at Knoxville.
Yep.
I mean, it is an incredibly busy stretch. And, oh, by the way, they're racing up in Canada before they come down to Missouri.
Yeah, the Canadian swing is always a fun trip.
Yeah, at least it's cool up there.
Yeah, at least the weather's not as warm as it is down here, but it's interesting for them guys to go up there and run.
You know, the thing I think is always awesome, and I've only been here a little over a year, but come the Ironman weekend, there is no harder working guy than Neil Quick on Ironman Saturday. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you remember the Cindy Crawford Pepsi commercial from back in the day, where she was silhouetted by the sunlight, that's what Neil looks like, only he's slinging T-shirt boxes, wiping the sweat from his brow. It's like in slow motion. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've usually got a few admirers, and usually it's the guys like yourself that are watching.
Hey, if I can find some way to get out of helping you work, I'm all for it.
We'll see this year.
Coming up, folks, we have a great interview with Jamie Ball. Caught up with him a little bit earlier, and you're not going to want to miss this. He goes into some great detail about his career, what he's doing, and the accident that I think really changed his life. Give this a listen. And at this time, we'd like to welcome in the driver of the J.J. Kane Auctioneering Timber Tree Service, Van Gorp Construction, L&J Automotive, Ostrich number 5J, Jamie Ball. And Jamie, first off, congratulations on your first career Knoxville 360 win. And more importantly, maybe in our case, welcome to Gas and Glory for the very first time, bud.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, first off, like we mentioned, congratulations. You and I had talked a little bit, and you had lost a number of races at Knoxville by not being patient enough or beating yourself. Take us through Saturday night. It was a phenomenal feature. Justin Henderson up near the front. You had to hold off some of the toughest guys, not only in the 360 category, but some of the guys that come over from the 410s. How did you manage to hang on and pick up that victory Saturday night at Knoxville?
Oh, a lot of heart and a lot of will, I guess. Started on the pole there and got out to the early lead, but was having a little bit of trouble in turn 1 and 2. And Russ Hall, the number 29 car, ended up catching me, and he got past me, and Justin got past me on the back stretch. And we went 3 wide off turn 4, and that was on lap 6, and I kept the lead there. And I got to the bottom and was kind of doing my thing and doing pretty good, and caught up to some lap cars. And lap 14, then Justin got by me. And I was not going to lead 14 laps and lose it on the last 4. Like you said, I gave a few races away myself just by being impatient and kind of being a young, inexperienced driver, I guess. And Saturday night I refused to lose. And Justin got bottled up behind the lap car, and I squirted right through the middle and hugged the bottom the rest of the way around, and the rest is history. And we got our first win at Knoxville, and there's no better feeling in the world than winning at Knoxville Raceway.
It's such a prestigious and famous racetrack to visit Victory Lane. I can't imagine what it felt like. Watching the video recap from this past weekend, which Knoxville does a phenomenal job with those video recaps, seeing you get out of the car and just pound the top wing. It's a good thing that they don't tech those top wings, because I'm pretty sure you put a huge dent in the top of yours.
Oh, we checked it out. We didn't see any dents up there, but it was truly emotional. I mean, this year's kind of been full of ups and downs. We've had a lot of good times, but we haven't quite had the finishes that we were wanting. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing really that my car or my crew guys or sponsors or anybody. It's just kind of been little driver errors here or there. A few weeks ago, I got up to 2nd, and in 2 laps, I fell back to 8th just by missing my marks and just not doing my job in the car. And after reviewing some tapes this week and talking with my dad a little bit, we kind of sat down and he gave me a pep talk about being patient and not feeling any pressure. We're a very prepared team, and pressure is something you feel when you're not prepared. So we just kind of relaxed this week and had fun. And having fun, I think, is the key to doing good, especially in Knoxville, because, like you said, there's so much prestige and pressure that comes with racing there that sometimes you just got to forget about it and just do your own thing.
Oh, you're absolutely right there. And I'm glad that you mentioned your dad, because I wanted to ask you about that. You're part of a 3-car team. You, your dad, and Devin Klein each have a car in one of the 3 classes at Knoxville. White Lightning Motorsports is the team. But your dad happened to be ready to go out for the 410s when you were in Victory Lane. So what was that moment like when you finally got the chance to meet up with your dad after you had won the 360 feature and after he could come over after the 410s were done?
I was very eager for him to get in. I know that he stayed out of the car and watched by the chain link fence in turn 3 and watched the whole race. And a few people told me they wished that there had been a video camera on him, because they said the last 5 laps he was pumping his fist and jumping up and down and pacing back and forth, because how close Justin and I were. Mm-hmm. But he's taught me everything I know, everything about racing since I can remember. Has all been because of him. He's been my hero growing up, not just in life but on the track. And the way we do everything today is based off his experience. And without him, we couldn't be as successful as we are. And I won a 305 race at Knoxville before, and he was also racing back then, so he had to race the 360 class, which was after that race, so he didn't get to be there in victory lane as either, or back then as well, just as he didn't get to this time. So when he got out of the car this time, I was standing there, and he got out, and he couldn't get out. He was trying to get out so fast. His Holmes got caught on the seat a little bit and got out, and we just gave each other a big hug, and it was just one of those moments I'll cherish forever.
Proud family moment for the Balls. Talking with Jamie Ball here, first-time winner in the 360 division this past weekend at the Knoxville Raceway. Very, very huge and very popular victory with the fans. Of course, you're from right in the area. And what I wanted to ask you about White Lightning Motorsports, with you guys having a 305, a 360, and a 410, how much information can the three of you guys share, if there is any, to kind of help elevate the entire team? If someone's really hit on something, can it translate to a different class, or are you guys kind of all on your own when it comes to notes?
Oh, I think track conditions is one of the things that really is a good advantage for us. We literally have a car and a driver out there on the track, every 2 or 3 races or so. There's not a whole lot that goes by without one of us being able to experience what it feels like instead of just what it looks like. But a lot of our setups are different. The 305 we got pretty much figured out after all the success my dad had last year. Mm-hmm. And 360 we're doing very good this year. Mm-hmm. Our setups are spot on, and we kind of just keep it simple. I mean, in our go-karts we didn't do a whole lot of changes. We just had a base setup and adjusted a few minor things and went from there. And keeping it simple really seems to be the key to doing good and being consistent.
Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, do you?
No, not at all. Sometimes simpler is always easier. And the 410, it's proven to be a little bit more of a challenge. My dad hadn't raced the 410 since 2006. Mm-hmm. So we're a little off there, but I think we're slowly figuring it out. We have Scott Bennick from Bennick Racing Shocks helping us out a little bit with some things, and bouncing a few ideas off him. And my dad switched over and was using Vortex wings, so Linton's been helping out a little bit. And Ostrich Racing Engines has given us a good motor. We just got to fine-tune everything in that class a little bit to get things going. But it's pretty cool. My dad's kind of taking the guinea pig role on and trying to get that deal figured out so that possibly next year I can jump into it and have success right off the bat.
Oh, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that was kind of leading into where I wanted to go. For those of our listeners who don't really know much about you, Jamie, you're a remarkable young man, but you are a young guy, and you mentioned go-karts. So tell some of the folks that are listening that don't really know about you kind of what your racing background is and what have you done to get to this point?
Growing up, I always wanted to race. Ever since I was 8 years old and my dad started racing sprint cars, I wanted to, but I have a very overprotective mother that didn't allow that to happen until I was 15 years old. Okay. When Dan Ebright of MLC Motorsports came to town from California with the Outlaw dirt carts. And they had a cage and a wing over our head, and that was something that she felt a little more comfortable with to keep me safe, because I am an only child, so she's very overprotective. But I started in 2009, 2010, a little bit running 500cc Outlaw dirt carts. They're the same deals that Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson came from, Rico Abreu. And they're just phenomenal machines. They're 450 pounds with 100 horsepower, which the horsepower to weight ratio is actually more than a 410 sprint car. So it definitely teaches you kart control and sets you back in the seat kind of like a sprint car does. So I think I definitely found a lot of success from my experience there. I had 30 Outlaw dirt kart wins, numerous national championships, and an English Creek Speedway championship in the open division. Mm-hmm. And after that, we just we were spending quite a bit of money racing those, and we figured if we're going to spend this, why don't we go sprint car racing? Yeah. Especially being right here in Knoxville. Our shop's only 2 blocks from the racetrack. When I step out the door, I can see the tracks just looking over the highway there. And it just made sense. And with my dad's background, sprint cars is where I wanted to be. I don't care to go on the pavement or do anything different than that. I'm 24 years old, so I'm pretty ancient in the racing world as it comes to deals like that. I'm no Kyle Larson, and I just want to be in sprint cars. We've been doing it since 2010, and it's my passion and my love, and dirt is where I want to be, and it's where I plan to stay.
That's what we like to hear, anyways. The money's on pavement, but the fun's on dirt. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, look at Kyle Larson. He won his NASCAR races and that, and he still puts, I think, Nationals and Trophy Cup or whatever as his number ones overall in his career.
Oh, yeah, you are right there, my friend. And, you kind of answered the question, but what does the future hold for Jamie Ball? I mean, do you want to run the World of Outlaws? Do you want to have multiple Knoxville Nationals championships? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
Oh, the ultimate dream of everybody that races a sprint car would definitely be World of Outlaws and win Nationals and things like that. But realistically, that takes a lot of money and a lot of experience, and we do very well for what we have, but we don't have unlimited budgets, so we do good, but we do have a budget that we have to stick to. And like this year, we're just racing Knoxville for now. We're just focusing on that, and might travel around a little bit at the end of the year if the equipment and the motors are still there and the checking account's all right. But in the future, I just want to race Knoxville. I mean, if I can be at Knoxville on Saturday nights consistently and kind of make a professional hobby out of it, I'd be happy. I've really enjoyed racing Sprint Invaders and some ASCS stuff when I have got the chance. So I would say I would be thrilled to death if for years to come I could race Knoxville and then hit and miss some of the shows here throughout the Midwest.
Very cool, very cool. Now, you were in quite a wreck and ended up in the hospital for a little bit. What's been the most difficult thing about coming back in 2014 and really getting back into your rhythm?
Oh, I crashed in Twin Features in 2012, and we're actually coming up on 2 years this weekend for Twin Features at Knoxville since my accident, and I'd kind of say the comebacks came full circle with finally being able to get the victory in Knoxville in the 360 class. And it's been extremely difficult. It was kind of changes your outlook on life. I truthfully probably shouldn't be alive today. The rear bumper of another car came in and broke my elbow and shattered its pieces, and then stabbed in under my armpit, came out my collarbone and ripped out my back. And I've got some nasty scars to show for it, but it's really just made me stronger both as a person and a racer. But probably the most difficult challenge has just been my fitness. Before I was young and in shape and, didn't really think too much of it. I ran and lifted weights and things like that, but I've had to work 3 or 4 times as hard to come back from this injury. I still have 7 titanium screws and a titanium plate in my elbow, and I can't straighten it as far. And last year, I really struggled with finishing the last half of the race. I would get very tired. My elbow would even typically go numb, and I'd basically be driving with one hand. And it's been real difficult, but Anytime Fitness is where I work out here in Knoxville, and my girlfriend's a personal trainer, so I work out. Yes, she pushes me to the limit and motivates me real well. And I work out every day at lunch. I don't take much for lunch. I work out, and then after work I work out as well. So I do at least 2 a days, 5 times a week, and just push myself. And I've literally never felt better in shape, and my mental focus and everything. When we go to the track, I am ready to go, and I'm confident as I've ever been.
That's pretty awesome, dude, but I'm going to have to ask the question. After she found out you were okay, how was Mom doing after the wreck?
Oh, not very well. I mean, it was a pretty tragic deal. I ended up getting taken out. I was completely knocked out during the wreck, and got taken out. I got out of the car myself just because, as a typical stupid racer, I guess they said they were going to cut the car apart. And I told them, whoa, we better just wait a minute here, and I'll get out on my own. And jumped out of the car and pretty much fainted right there. And they took me to the hospital. They knew I hadn't the broken elbow, but my driving suit was stuffed up so far into my skin that they couldn't tell there was no blood coming out. And it took about 30 minutes at the hospital for them to realize that I had about a 6-inch open wound inside on my by my armpit. And right away they called Life Flight. That's one of the moments in my life I'll never forget. My dad was looking over me, and they said, call the bird, and his face went ghost white, and the helicopter was on its way, and I was getting life flighted to Des Moines.
Oh, wow.
Definitely one of those moments in your life that kind of makes you rethink things, but with racing, everybody knows, especially my mom, that it's something I want to do. Other than my accident, which was a 1 in a million freak deal, I'm so much safer in that car than I am driving down the highway or the interstate with people you don't know. At least on the racetrack, you know who you're racing against. And all of our safety equipment that we have, that Bell Helmets and Simpson and LaJoy supplies me with, it's we're really safe. And she knows that it's what I want to do, and she's accepted that. And I think just having me happy is what really is important to her.
And you sound like a happy young man. You look like a happy young man in Victory Lane. And we appreciate you very much so for taking the time here to talk to us on Gas and Glory, Jamie. And good luck the rest of the season. We hope to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I just got to thank my crew, my mom, dad, Jody, Josh, Hagwood, Sadie, Anthony, Devin, Dwight, Taylor, and Cassie, and all my family for being so supportive. And some of my top sponsors, AIB College of Business, Bangor Construction, L&J Automotive, Matt Jones Trucking, Bocon Auctions, and JJ Kane Auctioneers for always being there for me through the good times and the bad times as well. But looks like the good times are here to stay, and we're looking forward to getting another victory at Knoxville.
And what an interview with a great young man, Jamie Ball, current Knoxville Raceway weekly racer and a star in the making. Neil, that was an incredibly in-depth interview, especially when he was talking about his accident. He went and told us all of the details, and it really is awesome that he's still around and still able to race.
Yeah, he's been very fortunate to make the recovery that he has and be one of the racers to come back and win. No, very, very impressive.
Doing that interview, my jaw was just dropping as I heard all of the details. I had seen the wreck and I had seen the pictures. I didn't know it was as bad as what he described it as, but great to see him come back, pick up a victory, and I expect many great things from him in the future at Knoxville.
Yeah, it seems like he's starting to put it all together up there, and glad to see that for him.
Well, that was the interview with Jamie Ball this week. Thanks to Jamie and his entire crew for being on Gas and Glory here. And coming up, the Outlaws have a triple-header weekend with racing at 34 Raceway in Burlington, Iowa, before going to Wisconsin for Beaver Dam Raceway and Cedar Lake Speedway. Delansky won at 34 Raceway in Beaver Dam last year. That's Craig Delansky. And then Sammy Swindell won at Cedar Lake. So we'll have to see if the big game cars can be stout in the upper Midwest once again. Kenny Wallace is on the Hell Tour, figuratively and literally flying back and forth between North Carolina and whatnot doing the TV.
He's a madman.
He's a madman.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I mean, I'm complaining about my schedule throughout the week, and when I talk to him, he's
You're
like,
not flying.
Well, no, when I see him, he's like, I go, how was your day? I just got in from the airport. Getting ready to leave again. Okay, where are you going now? Heading to Wisconsin. Back to Charlotte. Okay. You'd have to have a GPS device to keep up with him.
Probably an ankle bracelet. He'd lose anything else. Power Eye is at the Fayette County Speedway on Friday night and Tri-State Speedway on Saturday. Tri-State puts on an excellent show when the midgets come into town.
Yeah, that place is one of those premier facilities, especially wing sprint cars and midgets. Can't pass up a show there.
And then a lot of local tracks have just a ton of great races going on. Best of luck to them as the summer continues to roll on. The mercury in the thermometers rises, and the competition just gets better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some good racing out here locally. Tri-City Speedway and Belle Claire Speedway, Belleville, Illinois, and Pontoon Beach. Get out there, watch some late models modified racing.
Well, you're absolutely right, Neil. And now it's time for one of my favorite segments on the show each and every week. Folks, it's time for Squeal or No Squeal.
You're really disturbingly excited about this, Kyle.
Each and every week we get 3 topics that we get the chance to either agree or disagree. Agree is squeal, disagree is no squeal. And Neil and I just get the chance to argue with each other, like we don't do that enough around here.
We disagree on everything.
Well, not everything.
Pretty well.
And we'll see with some of that stuff coming up. And at this time, we'd like to welcome in one of our co-workers. She was here with us last week, Lindsay. Lindsay, first off, thanks for being back. We didn't scare you off the first week.
Thanks for having me. No, guys.
I don't think we scared her off. I think you forced her into this situation kind of like
I
mine.
did not force her into nothing. She came willingly.
With a smile on my face.
Boom! Take a look at that.
She's one step above me.
I'd love to see you guys argue.
All right, I'm ready.
Alrighty.
You ready, Squeal?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let her rip.
Question number 1. Will Kyle Larson break through for his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series victory in Bristol in August? Squeal or no squeal?
Squeal.
No squeal.
Oh, knew that was coming, Kyle.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to trump you. Go ahead.
Okay, I know you're going to try. I mean, yes, he is going to win at Bristol, and it's going to be a huge party down there because the kid can wheel it down there on that half-mile track, and it has a lot of the same values that he's picked up racing sprint cars and midgets. It's kind of a half-mile bull ring. A lot of things happen.
Minus the dirt.
Minus the dirt. It had dirt one time.
Yeah. and that was awesome.
Yes, it was. We wish those days again.
Yeah.
But he'll definitely a Squeal. He'll win down there, and I think it's an ideal track for him. He's performed well there in the past in the Nationwide Series car, and I think that'll be his first victory. So go ahead, hit me with your
No Squeal.
Let's go. Come on.
It's going to happen just a little bit sooner than that at Michigan International Speedway. Kyle has been on a tear on the 2-mile tracks this year. You look at what he did at California, nearly pulled it off all the way back in April when he got his first nationwide victory at that track. And then you also look at the day he had over the Father's Day weekend at Michigan. That kid drove through from front to back like 3 or 4 times. That car was that good. These are tracks where you have to search around to find the right line, and that's what Kyle Larson does best. He searches around and he finds the right line. It happens at Michigan before Bristol.
No, I just like Bristol has the idea of him getting caught up in somebody else's mess, typical Bristol racing. I would have to say that the California-Michigan race, the wild card is a fuel mileage. It'll reach up and grab him. He's going to get his first win at Bristol. I'm going Squeal on that one.
All right. Well, we're arguing on that one. I guess it's time for question number 2.
Alrighty, guys. Question number 2. Ohio Speed Week, which is 9 races and 9 nights. Is it tougher on drivers, teams, and equipment than the Pennsylvania, which is 9 racers and 10 nights? Squeal or no squeal?
Squeal.
No, I'm going No Squeal.
All right, tell me your No Squeal first.
Okay, first off, don't get me wrong. Ohio Sprint Speed Week is very tough. 9 races and 9 nights. Okay? Pennsylvania Speed Week, though, I'm going to go twofold here. A, the competition is tougher in Pennsylvania. You have more quality cars showing up to each and every race than I think you do in Ohio. I think that's just a fact of where these race teams are based out of. Second thing is the tracks. You go to Pennsylvania, they're all big half miles, with the exception of Lincoln and a few others. But you talk about running the Grove twice. You talk about running Port Royal, Susquehanna, all of these big places, Hagerstown even. You've got some big half miles that are going to wear the drivers out, going to wear out your motors. And the crew guys, it doesn't matter which schedule you put them on, they're always worn out after these speed weeks. I did it one year. I had a blast doing it, but I was exhausted at the end of it.
Well, I agree with you. The Pennsylvania tracks are the bigger tracks and higher speed tracks, but you can't take it away from Ohio Speed Weeks. The tracks and the facilities they go to, bull rings beating on each other night after night. Guess what? You got one less day, too. I mean, these guys race every day, every night. 9 straight. You got a break, at least in Pennsylvania.
You got one night.
It
got
helps.
a Monday night.
It absolutely helps.
Oh, all right.
Got a gap.
You got
A little bit of breathing room. And I'm going to tell you, after this week, I would take a day off.
Danny Dietrich attempting to run the Ohio Sprint Speed Week and the Pennsylvania Speed Week back to back.
That's impressive.
That is 18 races and 19 nights, man.
Well, look at that and compare it to our late model mod guys that run the Hell Tour with
Very
VOP
much so,
around
yeah.
Very much the same comparable deal, and the competition is the same too. Rough tumble and very competitive.
I would agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, question 3 for some of you baseball fans.
Oh boy.
The St. Louis Cardinals, will they finish with a higher record
The best
than the Colorado Rockies?
This is not even a question. I mean,
Your eyes and your eyes lit up. You got a smile on your face now. I should have mentioned the Cardinals way earlier in the show.
8-0.
You know,
I mean, what are the Rockies? Semi-pro or what?
you really went semi-pro there.
They look semi-pro.
Oh my! I'm assuming
You're speechless.
I'm assuming that you're going to say Squeal.
Absolutely, Squeal.
All right, I'm going to go Squeal too.
Cardinals will win it all this year.
Oh, here we go.
Squeal or no
No,
squeal.
oh, wait a minute. No. You don't get to call that because I seem to remember about a month ago when things weren't going so hot. You were going, season's over, man. We got to start planning for 2015. Trade the whole team away. You are the world's worst fair weather fan.
That is not a fair weather fan. That is actually being upset because your team's losing. Right now,
Yeah,
we're still
crying about
we're still
it.
not in first place. We're a competitive team, but in the end, we will win it like we always do.
What about last
Did
year?
you last year?
Well, I knew you were going to bring that up.
Good one, Lindsay. Lindsay rooted for the Boston Red Sox last year. It was great.
root for the Boston Red Sox.
Well,
It was a
we
good
ain't heard much
series,
out of you this year.
and actually, it was neat to see the Red Sox win it.
Oh, really?
They're a good
Mr.
team
Cardinal.
too, but yeah, it wasn't as good as seeing the Cardinals win.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Squeal or No Squeal, where we bring in 3 topics and get the chance to argue a little bit. Hopefully you enjoy our commentary. And Lindsay, thank you once again for coming in and helping us out.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys as well for tuning into Gas and Glory. And remember, you can pick up our driver's gear over at www.r-rracewear.com, the web's largest store for dirt track racing merchandise. On behalf of everyone here at R&R Enterprises, he's Neil Quick and I'm Kyle Luters, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises. All rights reserved. Please visit the web's largest sprint car store today at www.r-rracewear.com. The views and opinions expressed in the show are the host and guest alone and do not directly reflect those of R&R Enterprises.